All right, let's take a little trip through time. We're going to go from the very first stone tools all the way to the supercomputers we all carry around in our pockets. And along the way, we're going to try to answer a huge question. If our tech has always shaped our society, what kind of society are we actually building right now?
It's a pattern that's basically as old as we are. The tools we make, they end up defining our entire world. So right now, as we're standing on the edge of this massive new tech revolution, the real question isn't if things are going to change. That's the given. The question is, what's it going to look like? And what part do we get to play in all of it?
Okay, so to figure out where we're headed, we've got to take a quick look back. You have to understand the pattern, right? So let's trace the big technological jumps that got us here. Just look at this timeline. Every single leap forward isn't just about a cool new gadget. It's a complete change in how we live. Think about it. Stone axes, that was about survival. Agriculture, boom, we get settlements. The steam engine, that literally built our modern cities. And then, in the late 20th century, we got computers and the internet, which kicked off what we call the Information Society, or Society 4.0. The pattern here is crystal clear. Our technology reshapes absolutely everything.
Right. So if the information age was Society 4.0, well, it makes sense that what comes next is Society 5.0. But what in the world does that actually mean?
Okay, so this is the core idea. Society 5.0 is all about blurring the lines, completely tearing down the wall between the virtual world, cyberspace, and the physical world we live in. The whole point isn't just to have a bunch of smart gadgets in our world. The goal is to create a new reality where the physical and the digital are so tightly woven together that they can actually work to solve huge problems, from healthcare to the economy. Here's a simple way to think about it. It's not about escaping into a virtual world, like in the movies. Nope. It's about bringing all the power of that virtual world into our physical reality, creating one single, smooth, super smart environment to live in. But how do you actually build something like that? I mean, this super integrated world. Well, you need a very specific set of tools. Let's call it our digital toolkit. And believe me, these are the tools that are making this whole vision possible as we speak. First things first, the foundation for all of this is data. And not just any data. We're talking about big data. This is the absolute flood of information that's constantly streaming from every sensor, every online purchase, every single interaction. And you can think of it in three ways: the sheer volume of it, the huge variety of types of data, and the crazy frequency with which it gets updated. All this data, it's the raw fuel for the Society 5.0 engine. But, having all that fuel is kind of useless if you don't have an engine to burn it. And that's exactly where AI comes in. If big data is the fuel, then artificial intelligence is the engine. It's the tech that can actually sift through all that information, spot patterns, make decisions, and basically copy human-like intelligence, but on a scale we can't even imagine. And listen, this isn't science fiction we're talking about. This stuff is here now. AI is already weaving itself into our physical world. It's the brain that guides a self-driving car. It's the smarts behind telemedicine that can predict health problems. It's what makes a smart farm efficient, or what runs your smart home. So what's the secret sauce that makes today's AI so different, so powerful? Well, it's a thing called machine learning. See, for the first time ever, we don't have to sit there and code every single little rule into the computer. Instead, we can just feed it a mountain of data and let it figure out the patterns and rules all in its own. It learns. And that ability to learn is what makes AI so flexible, so powerful, and yeah, almost feel alive. Okay, so for an AI to actually understand and interact with the real world, it needs senses, right? It needs to see, to hear, to feel. That's the Internet of Things, or IoT. We're putting tiny sensors and internet connections into everything: our cars, our appliances, our city streets. These little devices are basically the eyes and ears of Society 5.0, constantly collecting that real-world data and feeding it back to the AI brain. So how are we, as humans, going to interact with this new intelligent world? Well, this is where our whole experience of reality starts to get a little weird. You've got virtual reality, or VR, which can drop you into a completely fake simulated world. Great for training or games. But then you have augmented reality, AR, which might be even more important. It doesn't replace our world, it adds to it. It overlays digital information right on top of what you're already seeing. Now, this all sounds amazing, right? Unbelievably exciting. But let's be real. With every huge technological jump, there are always new problems, new challenges we have to deal with. Progress is never a straight line, which brings us to the human side of all this.
So you've got this fundamental tension, this push and pull. On one side, the promise is incredible. More efficiency, better connection, getting rid of boring, repetitive jobs. But the other side of that coin is that our growing dependence on all these devices is creating a very real, very human problem, something called technostress.
Technostress is kind of the catch-all term for this feeling. It's the mental and physical price we pay for being constantly connected, always on, always available. You ever get to the end of the day and just feel digitally drained, completely exhausted from screens? Yep, that's technostress. And it pops up in a few different ways. For some people, it's technophobia, like a real anxiety about having to use new computers or software. For a lot of us, it's techno-addiction, that compulsive urge to check your phone every 30 seconds. And then there's the physical stuff, VDT disorder, the stiff shoulders, the sore neck, the tired eyes from staring at a screen all day long. I'm guessing some of that sounds pretty familiar.
But these challenges are bigger than just our own personal stress. They create this deep crack running through our whole society, the digital divide. As our world gets more and more tangled up with technology, the gap between the people who can use it and the people who can't just gets bigger and bigger. And this isn't just about owning the newest smartphone. We're talking about access to jobs, to education, to essential services. It is truly the fault line of our time.
And that leaves us with maybe the most important question of all. Look, the dream of Society 5.0 is a world that's smarter, safer, and better for every single one of us. But as we're building this new world, we have to ask ourselves, are we building bridges to bring everyone along, or are we building walls that leave people behind? Deciding who gets to be a part of this new future, well, that's the biggest challenge we face right now,